Prime Minister, you're
about the economic...
Your scaremongering does not stop at the economy, does it? What comes first, World War III or the global Brexit recession?
The world is changing with accelerating speed.
To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
We don't want a nuclear war! We don't want a killer war! We don't want a nuclear war! We don't want a killer.
Division is brewing in Washington over just who is the biggest threat to American national security. The US president has warned the world to prepare for the threat of nuclear terrorism, but his defense secretary has a different take. Guyana Chichekan has the story.
I recently issued my posture statement for the Defense Department for fiscal year 2017. The first to describe how we're approaching 5 strategic challenges: Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and terrorism.
Why does Obama need extra 750 foreign journalists at this time? The United States have provided physical and digital training to more than 750 foreign journalists worldwide and is increasing the funding to 2.5 million to those journalists. It is a clear sign that something big is going to happen, and United States is preparing to control the information flow, at least inside the US. Also, we have women who will be joining the US military. It's another sign of something big approaching.
President Obama is back at the White House this morning after a week in the Middle East and Europe. Air Force One touched down Monday evening at Joint Base Andrews outside Washington. We spoke with the president yesterday in Germany in a wide-ranging interview. He had just announced 250 more American troops will go to Syria. They will help in the fight against ISIS, also known as ISIL.
Us dismantling ISIL is a priority, and although we are not going to be sending ground troops in to fight, we are going to try to find out what works and then double down. And one of the things that's worked so far is us putting special forces in for training and advising of local forces, but also intelligence gathering.
Let me pivot to China. Your Secretary of Defense has been in the region. How aggressive do you see the action in the South China Sea? And do you worry that they will cross some line in which you'll have to respond more aggressively?
I've been consistent since I've been president in believing that a productive, candid relationship between the United States and China is vital, not just to our two countries, but to world peace and security. We're a lot better off with a China that feels confident.
It's not a zero-sum game.
It's not a zero-sum game. What is true, though, is that they have a tendency to view some of the immediate regional issues or disputes as a zero-sum game. So with respect to the South China Sea, rather than operate under international norms and rules, their attitude is we're the biggest kids around here and we're going to push aside the Philippines or the Vietnamese. But it doesn't mean that we're trying to act against China. We just want them to be partners with us. And where they break out of international rules and norms, we're going to hold them to account.
And what about North Korea, finally?
North Korea is a massive challenge. Our first priority is to protect the American people and our allies, the Republic of Korea, Japan, that are vulnerable to the provocative actions that North Korea is engaging in. They are erratic enough. Their leader is personally irresponsible enough that we don't want them getting close. But it's not something that lends itself to an easy solution. We could obviously destroy North Korea with our arsenals, but aside from the humanitarian costs of that, they are right next door to our vital ally, Republic of Korea. One of the things that we have been doing is spending a lot more time positioning our missile defense systems so that even as we try to resolve the underlying problem of nuclear development inside of North Korea, we're also setting up a shield that can at least block the relatively low-level threats that they're posing right now.
President Obama has launched the U.S. most massive military buildup close to Russian and Chinese borders. This piece of information clearly shows a very strong message of the beginning of a major conflict between major superpowers such as NATO, Russia, and China. As you are watching this video, we have missile defense shields being set up and being installed in Israel, in North Korea, Eastern Europe, and Russia. When United States is testing its new intercontinental ballistic missiles, we have Canada asking to join US missile shield to enhance national security. Canada has suggested it may join the US missile defense shield. Then we have the installation of the US missile shield in Eastern Europe along Russian border. Russia has opposed US and NATO plans to deploy anti-missile systems close to borders with Russia. Washington says that the anti-missile system would not threaten Russian security. Russia will restore a missile attack warning station near Crimea to counter an increasing NATO activity in the Black Sea. We have 4,000 cruise missiles pointed at Putin that would enable Obama to deliver precision-guided, non-nuclear airstrikes anywhere inside Russia in less than an hour. When Putin calling Obama's new missile shield in Eastern Europe along Russian border a direct threat, we have Poland setting up a new missile shield. And then we have Romania setting up a new missile shield. We have US anti-missile base in Poland put by Obama, and in Kaliningrad we have Putin threatening to put nuclear missiles there. We have Putin activating S-400 defense systems all around Russian border with Eastern Europe, and we have nuclear missile systems patrolling Moscow streets. We have Norway and the US planning to establish a new military radar post in Vardø, Finnmark, in addition to the already existing US Globus 2 radar system. Let me show you on the map where all the missile defense shields are being set up and being installed in Eastern Europe. Just look at this map. Here we have Putin in Moscow, placing S-400 defense systems all around Moscow, and we have some in Kaliningrad. Here we have Obama setting up a missile defense shield in Poland and Romania, and putting radars in Norway. And in all these countries we have NATO and US military training at unprecedented scale. Watch my new video on military training and military hardware movement by Putin and by Obama in these countries. The link to my new video, as always, will be below in the description box. Just a little bit more than 70 years ago, we had a great war between major superpowers. Today, in the same place, on the same map, we have the same superpowers in the face of NATO and Russia preparing for a major war. Just remember, only a little bit more than 70 years ago, in the same place on this map, millions and millions of people died fighting for the same forces that are preparing a major conflict today. My biggest concern is that during World War II, there was no nuclear weapons available in such a big amount that is available today. And in the same place on this map, there was no nuclear power plants, so the war was limited in scope.
While the Allied forces lost hundreds of thousands of citizens during the course of the conflict, at least 27 million Soviets were killed during what's known in Russia as the Great Patriotic War. The Eastern Front also proved the deadliest for Nazi Germany, with 74% of their war deaths occurring there. Almost every single Soviet family suffered the horrors of this war. Only 37% of all men drafted to the front line survived till the end of the conflict.
We're investing in capabilities that our military needs to deter aggression and defend our security and that of our allies. And this includes increases in our posture in Europe to reassure our NATO allies in light of particularly increased aggressive actions by Russia.
NATO would lose a war to Russia within 36 to 60 hours. Okay, let's look at what facts we have here to support or to deny this information. NATO possesses almost no ability to defend Ukraine. Russia has 270,000 troops and 700 jet fighters positioned on Ukraine's borders. Russia demonstrated in 2015 when Russia sent 150,000 troops to surround Ukraine. Moscow can quickly mobilize its military in the event of a major conflict. In Crimea, there are 25,000 troops, numerous ships and subs. As well, we have Russia's S-400 missile systems, a weapon which could shoot down multiple NATO jets up to 250 miles away. Why NATO is moving closer to Russian border? My point is that Illuminati cannot go to a direct war with Russia. Instead, something big will happen in Ukraine. I made a video on wild cards of Illuminati to win the war against Russia and China. It is important to acknowledge the fact that the world's military expenditures rose to 1.7 trillion US dollars in 2015. My point is that why in such a difficult economic time, when we have sanctions, when we have low oil prices that damaging every country around the world, why would you increase the military spending when you have no income? My answer is very simple. Unless you're preparing for war.
America is expanding its military influence in Eastern Europe. A new $800 million missile defense base opened in Romania on Thursday. And a day earlier, the US also announced plans for a new missile shield in Poland.
Those concerns don't go away with a nuclear agreement.
And it's not aimed at Russia, not targeted at Russia. You can't target a defensive system at anybody.
We continue to be united in supporting Ukraine in the wake of Russian incursions into Ukrainian territory. We continue to work in a training and assist fashion in helping support Ukraine develop its military capabilities defensively. We continue to provide reassurance to the frontline states there, our NATO allies, to make sure that they have not just reassurance in words, but that we've actually deployed concrete assets that let them know that Article 5 means something and that we stand by our commitments to our allies. And I have, in my budget, put forward a quadrupling of the resources that we spend and dedicated a portion of that money to make sure that we've got ground brigades that send a clear message about our commitments to our NATO allies to the east. That does not mean that we are not continuing to work with Russia to try to find resolution to the problems in Ukraine.
The signs that World War III and a major worldwide collapse are coming are everywhere. You just need to open your eyes and listen. When we have very strange speech by the head of the US Army saying that prepare for little green men and hybrid armies. When we have David Cameron warning that Brexit could trigger World War III. When we have John Kerry saying that get ready for borderless world. When we have Obama giving very strange speech at correspondence dinner, saying that the end of the Republic has never looked better. These strange speeches are the clear signs that the big change or shift in the global system is coming. That change will affect everyone's way of living.
Obamacare is great, and it's really working. Sign up now.
I want you to know, guys, that all major powers of this world have huge military drills, training and military hardware movements all around the world at this very time while you're watching this video. In fact, the military drills around the world are so big that I had to make 5 separate videos on this subject. As always, the link to my new videos will be below in the description box. Unlike anything we've seen before, we have millionaires living USA, especially Chicago. We have 3,000 individuals with net assets of $1 million or more, not including their primary residence, moved from Chicago in 2015 alone. We have Federal Reserve emergency meeting with Obama. We have FEMA emergency meetings taking place. We have FEMA drills in many states inside the US. We have Walmarts closed with no windows and only one entrance and exit, creating security booths in 4 corners of closed Walmarts. We have people like Steve Quayle in one of his videos on Alex Jones' radio show talking about that all food from major supermarket is going underground bunkers in some cities inside the US. Why in the world we would have such strange things happening on the land of freedom? What is very strange is that we have FEMA conducting biggest drills ever inside the US. We have all those FEMA executive orders set in place. We have Walmarts closed and being converted into detention centers according to some videos on YouTube. We have an unprecedented military hardware movement inside the US. We have this movie Armageddon coming out on Friday the 13th. We have another movie called X-Men Apocalypse. We have FEMA and DHS conducting riot control drills. On top of that, do you remember those articles saying that DHS has purchased more than 2 billion rounds of ammunition, which is enough to fight a war for 10 years? Do you remember those articles saying that US government has purchased 30,000 guillotines? Do you remember red, blue, green lists? Do you remember FEMA coffins? When at the same time we have US and NATO setting up and activating missile defense shields in Eastern Europe, on Russia's doorstep, also in North Korea and inside the US.